Hi everyone, it's Kate again, and this is my second offering for Renegade Healer. In my last little segment, or my first segment, I said that I would come back and talk to you about routine, and I'm really excited to talk about this today because it's something that I'm really actually strangely passionate about. um, uh, Before I get into kind of the whys and any suggestions, I want to probably give you the most important piece of advice I think I can give anybody, and this is regardless of whether you're recovering from a specific illness or injury or just wanting to take control of your health journey in general. The most important thing that you can do is start taking a paper and a pen or a journal and start actually jotting down notes. Um, this is for a couple of different reasons. One is if you are actually on a journey of recovery, it helps you to track your progress and notice not just the tough stuff and the downs, but actually the good stuff too. It helps you just become more conscious and aware of what's going on for you. But most importantly, it actually helps you in your self-advocacy, which in the healthcare system is often not as easy as it should be. And it's so powerfully important and also very healthy for you in your mental health and the emotional journey for you to feel that you have a sense of some control and some self-direction so that you have a voice. It seems like a small thing, but notes, especially dated notes, are very powerful in helping to validate your personal observations about yourself, any requests that you want to make, and also to help track and hold people accountable. Now, for me, that hasn't been something I've had to be terribly worried about, but it's been a very powerful, useful tool for me. So that probably the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody is start writing things down. Okay, so why am I so into routine? One thing is because over the years in the work that I've done before I even started on a healing journey of my own, recovery-based work with other people, I've become really aware of the fact that most people tend to really overlook and underestimate the importance of the basics. We tend, when we're going through something really difficult, we tend to look for big explanations, and it's almost like we think there's some sort of a hidden secret that once we find it will be better. But the reality is, in most circumstances, the small things are the big things. How are we sleeping? How are we eating? Are we nourishing ourselves? Are we hydrating ourselves? Are we getting fresh air? Are we getting movement in our day? And those things become very quickly overlooked in search of something more profound. And they also become more difficult when we're struggling. So routine helps keep us mindful of what matters. Routine also offers us a few other things. One is familiarity. So when we've been doing something on a regular basis, the body almost starts to have a memory of that. And a good example is most of us know somebody who kind of always gets up at the same time every day, maybe an early riser. Runners are often kind of these people who like to get up early in the morning and have a run or a walk before their day begins. And those people will often kind of say that they don't need their alarm clock anymore, and maybe even joke about, oh, even when I'm on vacation, I can't sleep in because the body has become accustomed to that sleep-wake cycle. It's resting well during that time, so they are able to just get up and go. And you can accomplish that, maybe not on as extreme a level. Most of us don't need it to be, we want to help our body become familiar with some healthy expectations, I guess would maybe be a good way to say it. With familiarity also comes consistency. So the things like drinking water that so many of us are really poor at, when it's built into your routine, you're more likely to keep up with it on a regular basis. For some of us, taking medication has probably become something that we need to do on a daily basis. Exercise, maybe something you can't do just yet, or maybe something you really need to do. Maybe right now you need to do it, but you're not doing it. Routine will help you with that. So consistency kind of breeds that familiarity, and also makes it easier when times are tough to keep coming back to the things that are best for us. And finally, in many ways, probably my favorite is that it builds personal insight. So as I mentioned with my agenda and my journaling, that's why it's been so powerful for me. When I began to write things down, I began to notice patterns about what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what had been happening on the days that were really challenging for me, and I call them my Dory days when I'm really struggling with my symptoms. Because I have good days and bad days. I have days where I feel ready to rock, and then I have days where I really probably should stay in bed. But journaling was what helped me to see what influences those ups and downs, and I've been able to use that information to adjust my routine and just to take better care of myself in general. This is why I'm so excited about the topic and why I want to offer this as food for thought. Continuing on in this kind of with this concept of why routine is important, I want to talk a little bit about stress and depression when you're, well, in general, but specifically for people who are recovering from illness or injury. We tend to think of stress as what comes with our jobs, or what comes with the raising of our families, or the illness of others, or just being sick in general. It's stressful. But stress comes in other forms as well. It's drinking too much caffeine or alcohol, taking medications that we don't necessarily need to be taking, watching too much television, or eating lots of sugary, salty foods that are hard for our body to process. That's stress too. So another element to routine is that it keeps us sort of on track in maybe checking in with ourselves about the decisions we're making, and are we spending time doing things that support our well-being instead of maybe even self-sabotaging by accident. And that goes along with the depression. I think that it would be fair and honest to say that depression is an element of recovery for many people. It certainly is and has been for me. And routine helps with depression again as well. In one element, in one aspect, it can help avoid depression, because when you take charge of your day and you assist yourself by making healthy choices and keep kind of getting yourself in action every day, you feel a little more of a sense of control, and that might help stay off the depression. But maybe not, and maybe depression is a part of your experience, and one of the things depression does very efficiently is kind of rob us of that volition to do these things that are good for us. So when we have a strong routine, or if we put our energy and effort into building a routine, it's we start to maybe have a little strength in that tug of war that depression is playing on us, and maybe the routine can help us pull, and we can pull ourselves through a little better. So, routine, it's a good thing. Is it easy? No, 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 no. And we have to be gentle with ourselves, and patient and forgiving and flexible, because it's a journey, and we have all got challenges and limitations inherent in whatever recovery we're pursuing. So I would like to just offer a few thoughts on how to start. The first thing to do is to get out that pen and paper and to just think about what really feeds and nourishes you and what you truly believe is best for you in your recovery journey. So what nourishes you physically, mentally, emotionally? What's best for you? Just take some time with that and leave some space on the page to come back to it. And then I would also like to ask you to think about who else in your life might have some observations or some insight for you about these things that are good for you, times when they see you at your best, things that they see are challenging for you and make you regress or make you seem like you're having a more difficult time. And I want you to openly ask those people for their input. And I say that with a grin because often we resent our loved ones for offering their observations. We don't necessarily want to hear what they have to say because it's not always convenient for our own kind of internal story. Often they see things that we don't, and their input is really valuable. So that's the best advice that I can offer. And for now, for the moment, I'm actually going to pause because I want to give these offerings in manageable chunks, little segments, and I have a lot to say about routines. So we're going to pause here, and if this is enough for you today, I encourage you just to wait and listen to the second segment tomorrow. If you want a little bit more, join me in the next segment and we'll continue the conversation about routine.